What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by All County Exteriors. All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Foro, and this is Ryan Kulot.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How we doing this week? Last week was a big one, Mike. We got a lot of big updates to go over. Let's fly at them. I want to start here, Mike. This is a credit to you guys, the listener, the follower, the people that are getting involved. We hit 3,000 followers on Instagram this week. We talked about it coming up last week, but we did it this week. We got our 3,000th follower. Thank you guys so much for, again, for the interactions, the follows, the likes, the 5-star ratings, the thumbs ups, all that stuff that you guys do. That really helps us. And it's a great thing. So thank you to all that have been involved so far along the journey. It's a nice little milestone, but again, it's not something that we weren't doing this to get to 3,000 followers on Instagram. It's again, nice little thing. We're still going.
And it's funny you say that. And it's funny you say it because last week when we said we had not gotten there yet, could someone help us out and smash the button? We were only about 9-10 away. Well, when you fast forward that a week, not only did we smash it, we're over 3,100. So within that week of needing 8 or 9 to get to it, we've almost increased it by over 10% in less than a week. So listen, who knows? 4K is on the horizon.
Yeah, that's huge. So let's see. I think at 4K, Mike, we can start to put like a little map together of like our chart of like how long it took us to get to 1,000 to 2,000.
A little trajectory chart.
And see what we're going. I think then we got a good sample size, and we'll see where we go from there.
To the moon is where we're going.
Well, that's what I mean. So like, let's see how let's project
how close we are to the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah, if we're at Orion's belt yet or not.
I see what you did there. Yesterday was TPI Tuesday, episode 12. Dr. Mike and I have started talking about how we're going to end this. It is March now. Official start to golf season is April 1st in New Jersey, where you can start posting scores. So, Dr. Mike and I are trying to figure out when to retest, how to go through all that. So we are starting to, I don't want to say wind down, but the workouts are definitely getting to be more workout driven and not as, not as like intricate of doing things. It's more explosive stuff. We've kind of been going through like a stretching, a strengthening, and now an exploding. You'd see some of the stuff is more driven in that regard. So it is crazy, Mike. I will say, like, obviously my hips have been a problem, but the way that my hips move for my right-handed golf swing is not as good as my hips would move if I was a left-handed golfer. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but like when we do the left-handed stuff, just to like, hey, we did 10 on this side, let's do 10 on that side now. And we do 10 where like I have to push off my left foot, swing my hips through. It's a better swing than with my right. It really is. Now,
Huh?
unfortunately,
Maybe you
you
need to
know,
switch your golf swing.
well, so I
Yeah.
thought that, and then I took a club and I swung lefty, and I swing like Michael J. Fox lefty. So it's becomes a little tough to do. So, um, but anyway, that's a little bit in the future. But episode 12 was yesterday, TPI Tuesday. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Today, obviously, you're listening on Wednesday. It's episode 74. Make sure you check out the YouTube version as well. We got Mike and I um, up on YouTube. We record the video version of this. If you're not able to get onto Spotify or whatever, check out the YouTube and watch the video vehicle. Tomorrow, there is no Ryan's verse. Tomorrow's Thursday, the 7th. There's no Ryan's verse tomorrow. Next week, as we said, we kind of been going every other week. Next week is going to be 3 with me at Tidewater. I took on holes 7, 8, and 9 to kind of finish up this series at Tidewater, going all the way back to Christmas time. So, make sure you stay tuned next week to check that out.
We do have the Sweet 16 of voting though tomorrow. 11 a.m. goes live.
11 a.m.
Voting for the Sweet 16.
There we go. We're going to get into that's going to be a big part of this episode. So we're going to tease that a little bit and come back to it. But yeah, voting tomorrow, 11 a.m. Make sure you get on there, jump on the Instagram, vote for your courses, share it, send it out, do whatever you got to do. But make sure you're popping out for your courses there. Mike, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about last week's episode real quick because of how bigly it was. And yeah, I made up a word there, bigly. I mean, the March Madness style, maybe that's not fitting to everybody. Maybe it's too much golf course talk of people, courses that people don't know or don't see the bracket, and it is what it is. But if you didn't, go back and listen. We had Dan Rappaport on from Barstool Sports, Foreplay Podcast. The as Mike called him, the Adam Schefter of golf. Go back, check out that interview we had with D-Rap. It was huge. It really was bigly, as I said. We talked about Full Swing in that episode as well. Full Swing comes out today, March 6th. So again, you can go check out D-Rap's in that. So a lot of connections there coming out with Dan Rappaport today. So
huge episode in every which way you slice it, between who peeked at the story to who shared certain reels to who shared certain stories. Like, listen, I can't lie. If you did not listen to the Adam Schefter of professional golf, Dan Rappaport, hop on this show to talk about certain things that range from everything from this to that, go tune in, go re-listen, go watch it. So good.
Love it. Want to give a shout out to Max Greyserman, Chris Gotterup making the cut at the Cognizant Classic. This is the old Honda Classic. Currently, Max is sitting at T11, so having a good week. So congrats to those guys for continuing their season, making some money, and making the cut. So good on them.
Cash and checks, baby. Cash and checks. That's what we're about here at the Drop Pod for New Jersey people. Go cash that check.
Today's guest, let's get into the episode a little bit. Today's guest is Pat Koenig. He's the world record holder for golf. I want to make sure I got this right, Mike. He's the world record holder for rounds of golf played in a 365-day span. So in a calendar year, he played 580 rounds of golf last year in 2023.
Let me preface this right. 580 different golf courses in 365 days.
Yeah.
Different.
So that's huge. That's not a small accomplishment by any means. That's almost 2 rounds of golf a day. He smashed the old record. I think he said the old record was like 449. I don't know why that number's sticking in my mind, but somewhere right around 4.5 was the record before. So he blew that out of the water by almost a half a year. So it was an awesome interview. He's a dude. He was really cool. Comes on, very like California surfer mentality. He's got a great story about how he just rode around. He had the what was the name of the van? He turned his van, this like van, into like a recreational golf vehicle. RGV, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like
S
yeah,
SVGs.
golf art. Yeah, I forget the exact term that he used, but
So,
yes, to your
yeah,
point.
but he had like a mat and a driving range on top of the van that he could hit off of. Inside the van had all kinds of like golf memorabilia and stuff in it, and it was just, it's really cool to hear his story, how it came about, how it got funded, how everything about it. It was so interesting talking to him. We talked to Pat for almost an hour, and and really it was incredible. We could have kept going with him because again, it was just a super easy, super chill conversation with a guy who is just oozing chill Cali vibes. I would call it, which is right up where he's from. So really really cool. Um, but make sure you stay. That's Pat is our interview for today. Mike, one other thing that kind of came across my desk before we get into the March Madness and you give us the scoring and all that kind of stuff. Um, I wanted to give a shout out to the NJSGA. They have this kind of, like I said, came across my desk. I saw that they are giving out golf handicaps to high school golfers and golf coaches in the state of New Jersey. And I absolutely love this initiative. I think it's a great way to get youth involved in golf. Obviously, that's kind of been a talk, is how to get more of the youth into golf, and I think this is a great way to have them. It opens up opportunities to play in events that maybe they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Um, I know that I would imagine they think it's going to help lead to people being members of the NJSGA for the rest of their life, get them started now, and then keep them involved in it. I think that's terrific. The GHIN app now has different, you can pay for the upgraded version, but there's a GPS, which I think you had to pay for it last year, but now there's a free version of the GPS on there. There's a thing that's got different games you can play on the golf course. So anyway, I think this is a really cool initiative for them. Again, just getting more people involved in it. Um, sometimes you feel like things are a money grab, or sometimes things are, they're not doing things for the right reasons. This is not a money grab. This is doing things for the right reasons. This is a great initiative. I can't say enough positive things about it. I'm really very happy that they decided to do this. I see zero downside to this. I love that they are a little forward thinking there in like, hey, let's try to get more younger people playing in our tournaments, playing, involved in the state of golf, and see how we can improve. Again, good on the NJSGA and Rich Kennedy and his people over there for making this happen. So good on you guys.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
March Madness time. We did our draft. Let's quickly recap. We did our draft. We talked about that last week. Voting was last Thursday, 11 o'clock. That ended Friday at 11 o'clock. So we got the results. What do you got for us?
Yeah, we do. I mean, listen, first, again, to your point, listen, I know we said last year that this was a unbelievable endeavor for us to take on. Like, let's see if this can work. Let's see if people enjoy it. Let's see if people like it. And again, to that point, they showed out. People showed out. The golf courses showed out. The amount of likes, shares, votes, views. I mean, hell, I was blown away constantly rechecking this thing to see the numbers because, again, you just never know. You don't know who's sharing it. You don't know who's invested in it. But again, it was another great turnout in terms of numbers. If that's an indication on how many people actually enjoy it. So let's go through some of the results, and we'll start on the left side of the bracket, which was your number one seed side, Ballyowen. And what I'll do here is I'm just gonna run down the list of what the course is that won, and by what percentage to what percentage. And then we'll talk about the left side before we dive into the right side. Okay. All right. Maybe anything that stood out to you. So on the left side of the bracket,
Mike, I want to jump in here real quick. I don't know any of these results. I didn't look.
You did?
I didn't. No, I know nothing about any of these. I know that you told me that 10 of your courses won. And that's all that I know. So this is going to be just as a surprise to me as it is to our listeners right now.
Okay. So here we go. We'll go to the left side first. So Ballyowen played Rutgers 1 versus 16 in terms of numbers. Now, we always like to say when it comes to tournament time, numbers are irrelevant. So there's really no upsets, even though they're by number base, it could be upset. But number one, Ballyowen absolutely manhandled Rutgers, 78% to 22%. Legitimately wasn't close. You probably thought that was coming. I got nobody from Rutgers people to share it. They peaked it, but they didn't want to share it. So I even got Rutgers University to peak it, but I couldn't get Rutgers University to share it. So let that be for what it's worth. If I could get them to peak it, show it, we're going to the moon with Rutgers.
Well, that was my moon with Rutgers. And if you remember, that was my worry is like, okay, there's a potential very big backing there of hitting it like wildfire. So
they peaked it. If you looked at the views, they peaked it. I sent them a DM, but it went just on deaf ears. So nonetheless, Ballyowen moves on.
Okay.
The second matchup was Eagle Ridge versus Mercer Oaks East, and it was a bloodbath. Eagle Ridge wins 75% of the votes compared to Mercer Oaks 25%. Next round, it went Blue Heron Pines versus Vineyard National, and Blue Heron Pines smashed them 75% to 25%.
Okay.
As we're going down to the next line, Wild Turkey smashes Running Deer, just like you called, 69% to 31%. So far, nothing was close. Moving down to the next one, Crystal Springs, Scotland Run. I speak so highly of Scotland Run, but unfortunately, Scotland Run did not show out. Crystal Springs smashes them, 65%, 35%. So far, still no good games. We're going down to the next bracket. Berkshire Valley, Galloping Hill. Let's see. Two followings that are kind of sometimes hit or miss. smashed. Berkshire Valley, 61%. Galloping Hill, 39%. Now, here's where the one matchup actually was somewhat close. Mountain View taking on Highbridge Hills.
Mike, can I stop you and just kind of go into our own little personal tangent here?
Yeah.
Where is the bracket on our? I'm in our drive looking for our bracket and I can't find it.
So click on March Madness.
Yep.
Oh, I don't do it that way. But what I'll do here is I'm going to share my screen with you.
That would be perfect actually. So I
Okay.
can see the matchups here.
Can you see this now?
Oh, that is terrific. There we go. Thank you.
So
Okay.
you're very welcome. Okay, so we're on the Highbridge Hills one, and this was the only one that was an actual game on this side of the bracket. Highbridge Hills sneaks out a victory 56% to 44% for Mountain View. Now, some people maybe say, Mike, that wasn't close. It's 12 percentage points difference. I get it. But on this side, it was as close as it comes. And then the bottom side, in terms of upsets, Mercer Oaks West was my number 2 selection. And they got manhandled by Harbor Pines, 62% to 38%.
Let's go.
So when you look at that side of the bracket, 4 of my teams won and 4 of Ryan's teams won. So you could say it was a pretty good split. What do you think about those results? Anything that stood out to you maybe as a little different?
So a little different. I mean, again, I was like I said, I was a little worried about Rutgers potentially just blasting it out from like the president of the college to Greg Schiano to I think the potential there of hitting legitimately 100,000 people's Instagram is legitimate, and that made me worry. But Rutgers, thank you for not sharing it, so I could move on there.
Which is crazy because they peaked it. Rutgers University, their handle peaked the story, and I'm like, okay, peaked it. Let me DM them right away.
Yeah. The only couple, I mean, I know we have a pretty big following down at Eagle Ridge. I didn't, again, I couldn't pick Eagle Ridge because I had played it, so I didn't want to, that was kind of in that gray area, so I avoided it. But we got a big following there. It's a tremendous facility with all, it's 9 holes. Riley does a tremendous job down there. So not a surprise that it took the victory. Same thing with Crystal Springs. Again, it kind of comes down. I picked Scotland Run. Maybe I picked it at the wrong spot or the wrong matchup, but we haven't played Crystal Springs, but it better be pretty good because Scotland Run you talk so highly about. As one, I mean, Scotland Run's on my list regardless. I want to go play it this summer. I got down to Ballamore, which you talked highly about last year. Scotland Run is my South Jersey one I want to get to this year. So, again, surprised maybe, but again, that's kind of the social media aspect of it. Crystal Springs gets it out to more people than Scotland Run does, and there you go. I was a little bit, where was the Galloping Hill? I thought they would be a little bit better. That's the State Golf Headquarters Association. Again, you do more of that, so I don't know what they shared if they got it out there. But I would think if it was able to get out on the State Golf web, story
handle.
that it would get, the handle. I would think it would get a lot, but again, Berkshire Valley shows up, so there you go. Nothing. I don't feel bad about any of those there. I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Listen, obviously, with picking Berkshire Valley to win the whole damn thing, I can't lie. I was sweating that one. I was sweating that one because I didn't know. And a little like on a background note, like Berkshire Valley has only 150 followers on Instagram. They're not active. I can't get them to share anything. So it's not like, to your point, like I don't have any connections at Berkshire Valley. I've tried to get them to share it. Nope, they don't share it. They don't peek out, but it's clearly evident that we got followers that like Berkshire Valley.
Yeah.
So they came out for them, but I could not get Berkshire Valley to do anything in terms of sharing it.
So if I look over the whole thing here, I have the top half of the bracket. You have the bottom half of that bracket.
Yep. Yep.
because you have one, you got Eagle Ridge, while I got Ballyowen, Blue Heron, and Wild Turkey, and then on the bottom half, I have Harbor Pines, and you got the other three. Um, so that could come down to a you versus me, top to bottom. There would be kind of neat in the final four there. But
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. I think when I look at like those matchups on the left side of the bracket, the Eagle Ridge Bally Owen to me is could be like David versus Goliath. And I don't say that in like a weird way, but I just know that if you talk to everybody in the state, Bally Owen is probably, if not everybody's number one public golf course in the state of New Jersey. It's pretty damn close.
mhm.
And Eagle Ridge is like that little guy that we know that some of us have heard about. They got 27 holes, a nice facility. Clearly, we have a nice following of Eagle Ridge contingent. I'll be so curious to see on tomorrow at 11 a.m. when that thing goes live, because that's the first matchup I put out. I literally just go in order from what the bracket is from the left to the right. So the first time when you click on that thing at 11 a.m., the first matchup you're going to see is Ballyowen on top, Eagle Ridge on the bottom. That to me on this side of the bracket, I could possibly see just taking the whole side. I truly could.
Eagle Ridge, you're saying
Eagle Ridge or Ballyowen, like whoever
Yeah.
wins that, like I could see
Yeah.
them just sliding all the
Both have,
way.
yeah, I agree. So, but that's why you
So
play the games, right? That's why I put the votes out.
discover Matera's Italian Market and Catering in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey, nestled at 72 Park Avenue, your go-to destination for creating an authentic Italian dining experience. Recently honored as the best in Bergen County, Matera's is amazing from the moment you step inside. Immerse yourself in a world of imported retail products, cheeses, premium cold cuts, and the freshest baked bread, all complemented by the irresistible, creamy, fresh mozzarella. Experience convenience at your fingertips by ordering through the Materas on Park app, available on both Apple and Google stores. Above the Market, the Loft is perfect for intimate family celebrations or even corporate events. For a sneak peek into Matera's world, follow them on Instagram at Matera's Italian Market. Stop into Matera's and say ciao. Walk in a stranger, leave as family. Here, as we scroll down, is the left side of the bracket, the right side of the bracket. God, I got that all mixed up. But nonetheless, I'm going to go through these results because I did take 6 victories tier 2 here. And again, I will say this as kind of like a recap. It's clearly obvious where it was not close. There weren't a lot of back and forth. There wasn't a lot of close matchups. It was pretty much the followers had a thought and they all backed it because there weren't many 55-45s. It wasn't many 51-49s. It was legitimately so many 60 pluses, 70 pluses in terms of percentage points. This one side had the closest matchup out of all of them, as well as this side had the number one vote getter out of all 32 golf courses on this side of the bracket. So I'm going to go through that. So here we go. On this side of the bracket, Old Bridge beats We Quake 63% to 37%. Again, in terms of basketball, blowout.
Yeah.
Then we're going Hominy Hill. Absolutely manhandles Tamarack East 78% to 22%. Heron Glen kills Valley Brook 70% to 30%. In the largest defeat of all of them, Architects 87%, Pennsauken 13%.
Wow.
Skyway, another huge win, 81%, Rivervale 19%. LBI National shows out 71%, Great Gorge 29%. And what I thought was the biggest, most stunning result out of all of them, Neshannock Valley 76%, Seaview Pines 24%. Stunning on that one. And what was the closest matchup out of all 16 matchups today was Charleston Springs South wins 55% to Francis A. Burns 45%. The closest matchup out of all 16.
Wow.
What do you got there?
Whew. Well, I'm glad that Hominy and Skyway made it. If those are my two. I feel good about those two. Um, again, the Hominy goes back and forth with Ballyowen as Golf Digest top courses in the state. So I think that speaks for itself there. Um, Nishanik Seaview, like you said, Seaview won this last year, and to get such a low approval rating by the people is rather stunning. So again, it can come down to how many shares. Nishanik's people are super active on social. Um,
The one thing I thought
but
about that matchup is maybe when people think Seaview, they like the Bay more. That was the only thing that I could think about. And obviously we had played it, so it couldn't be the Bay. But I thought that it may still get shared, or but maybe people just don't like the Pines. I kind of
yeah,
thought maybe that was like, all right, maybe when we talk Seaview, we're talking the Bay only. Like we're
yeah.
Bay people.
And again, I don't know the Bay course really at all. I've never played it. I remember when we were
The
down
Pines
there.
course, you mean the Pines course.
I'm
You
sorry,
play the
the
Bay.
the Pines. I'd rather have never played the Bay, but um, the Bay is beautiful. I just play terrible there. But the Pines course, I remember when we were down there, Jeff was talking about maybe getting some bunkering redone or some moving of things. So I think that they want to bring that up to speed or up to the pace of what the Bay is doing, because the Bay is so highly regarded, and the Pines doesn't really get talked about. So I think the club knows that, or the resort knows that, and that's something that's on its way. But at some point in the future. But for sure, that was a very big upset. Um, I'm surprised that Charleston beat Francis, only because y- like it seems like we have such a big following at Francis. People have DM'd us about like, hey, you're missing this course. This course is a gem. Like it's got redone. It's beautiful. And I don't feel like Charleston has that same kind of following, or even just the Monmouth County courses. Like I know that the Monmouth County like socials don't share any of the stuff. But that was a little shocking that got beat, because I think there is such a following up there.
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to say upset in terms of like even the golf course, forget about the numbers, like I mentioned at the top. Like, yeah, I was stunned by that one. I really was. I thought Francis was going to be that sneaky golf course that we were going to pack our bags and go north to because
Yeah.
everybody
which
talks so
which
highly of it.
which I know we still want to, because everybody does talk so highly. The new renovation from just a couple years ago is something we want to go see. But I do know Charleston South. While I like the North, the linksier style hits my eye better. I love Charleston South as well. It's a great course. There's some really great, like you want to go golf course architecture. It's a They do a great job there. Have done a great job there. So there's a bunch of stuff there that we um, there's no reason why it shouldn't have won. It's just for me, I was thinking more the socials would have been more pushing for Francis. So
No doubt. And to your point, it would have been. I mean, like to your point, I can't get Monmouth County Park System to share it. So it really comes down to just the voter. And,
yeah,
listen, Architects was clear the runaway in terms of the most votes received on their golf course. We kind of thought like I had mentioned like in terms of who I thought could possibly win. Like I know it wasn't really a sleeper because they were my fourth pick, but like their people turned out, and again, not because they shared it.
hmm
It's just people thinking highly of Architects. I DM'd them multiple times. I couldn't get them to share it from their handle. So if anybody has a connection at Architects or any of these other golf courses that just want to promote their spot more, like let's go. I tag every single one of them. I tag things in the area, companies in the area, like it's out there.
so
I
this is
am
this is Mike pushing for his own golf course, as he wants Architects to
no,
win.
I,
So
I
he's got
think Berkshire Valley wins. I listen, my golf course is still standing firm with Berkshire Valley. And you want to talk about the least amount of followers, it's clear as day, it's Berkshire Valley. I just think when I see the pictures of Berkshire Valley, that place looks stupid nice.
so
Stupid nice.
I think Architects. Like if I had to pick two, I would have picked Architects as well. Um, Again, I think Architects is a name in the state where Pensauken's not really a name in the state. That's
Fair
down in the
point.
part of the state where there's like 12 people that live there. So,
Wow.
whereas Architects
Wow, that's a low
is
blow to the people that live down in Pensauken. I mean,
uh,
they
I,
they listen, they listen and subscribe and all the
I'm
good
not
stuff
saying
too.
I'm not saying we don't appreciate it. I'm just saying it's less populated area than in the north. That's
Okay, now
just
we're
a
gonna go.
fact.
Now we're gonna get politically correct. But yeah, you're right to that point. I
So
will
so
say,
architects is out where there's also 12 people, but however, you go directly across, you're directly across Route 78 from, you know,
everything.
right, a heavily populated area of the state.
Look now, looking at that side of the bracket,
Honestly,
right? We
I'd say
got
this, if we were a Philly one, I bet you Pennsauken gets more love.
yeah, probably. You're probably right because you're to your point. I agree. I mean, when you look at this side of the bracket, give me the matchup that stands out because there's one that just like beam in my eyes right now. That's like blinding. I'm about to put my shades on.
Well, I know that you like your. First off, I like that mine are on opposite sides. I like that I have Hominy Hill on one, so there's still a potential that I could sweep and have my
Yeah,
own little.
100%.
Not like one's mine are playing mine, and it's like okay, only one potentially. So I'm happy for that. Um, I'm interested for Hominy Hill and the Rose to be quite fair. I think that Architects has a great chance to continue to move on. I feel like that one is just going to keep rolling for you. Um, uh, that would be my kind of take. Skyway LBI National is a nice one.
Beaming, beaming.
You
It's in
you
my eyes. It's
that's
beaming.
okay.
It's beaming. And I did not think LBI National Renault Winery, that whole little contingent of people would be into this. Boy, oh boy, are they into this.
Did they pop out
Which
for there?
which they popped out. And I already knew, and I mentioned to you many times, Skyway does an unbelievable job with their socials. Unbelievable. Probably one of the top 5, if not top 3, if not the best in terms of handling social. Skyway's
Okay.
phenomenal. Not only do they share it, they get millions of people just to like kind of like I say millions, okay, that's exaggerating, but they get a lot of people that share it to all these different things. And it's I keep getting the notification shared. I will say this, that matchup, I'm dying to see what happens. Because
Okay.
if LBI National shows out the way they did for the last one, Skyway, I know, is going to turn out. I won't be surprised if this becomes the most viewed, most voted on in our 2 years of doing this in just this second round matchup.
Okay.
I won't be surprised because two really, really good followings there. I'm kind of that side. I'm dying to see what happens there.
Okay. Obviously, I'm hoping for Skyway. Skyway people, you got to pop out for me. I need you. I need you. I need to
They
move
do.
on.
You don't even need to put a PR out there. They do it.
Yeah.
They do it. They do it. They do it.
So there we go.
Get rolling.
There's our matchups.
11 a.m. tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah.
The bracket's out. You can go to the Instagram right now. You can see it. You can see what the matchups will be for Thursday. You got to make sure you vote at 11 a.m. because that's when this thing is going live again. Boy, oh boy. This time of the year, I love. It's March. Golf season's right around the corner. I got the itch. The clubs are slowly inching their way out of the closet to the trunk. Like I am chomping at the bit right now. The itch is real in many different ways.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you, especially because Sunday was 60 degrees and sunny and beautiful and all that stuff. So, yeah, the weather's starting to turn. Hopefully, we keep up the good weather and we'll roll from there, right?
Works for me.
All right, Mike. Let's call it a day and let's send these people to a truly great interview that we had with Pat Koenig, world record holder of the most rounds of golf played in a calendar year, 580 rounds he played. A great dude and just like he was good to just chill with us until we were done, and then he's like, "All right, dudes, I'm gonna go hit the golf course," and it was just like, "All right," again, just like chill Cali vibes out of him. Again, great interview. So here's our interview with Pat. Enjoy.
Comstock Yacht Sales has been Jersey Shore's #1 boat dealer since 1973. Did you know that Comstock now has 2 on-water sales locations to better serve the boaters across New Jersey? Their full-service marina is located at 704 Princeton Avenue in Bricktown, and their all-new sales location can be found at Navesink Marina in Seabright. Comstock currently carries some of the best boat brands manufactured today. The team at Comstock is proud to be New Jersey dealers for Regulator Center consoles, Grady Way boats, Tiara yachts, Sea Pro, Four Winds, and MGM yachts. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned boat or looking for help selling your current boat, Comstock Yacht Sales is the place to go. Go online to see their full new boat lineup or stop into one of their 2 locations today. They can be found at comstockmarina.com. That's comstockmarina.com, or for immediate sales assistance, text them now at 732-604-1237. That's 732-604-1237.
So today's guest is a world record holder. Yes, I did say that correctly. Today's guest is Patrick Koenig, who recently just set the world record for most golf courses played in 365 days. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm quite tired after just setting that world record. So, but I wouldn't miss the drop. We're going to drop it today. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Listen, I obviously I know when I had contacted you when you were wrapping this bad boy up, probably back in I don't know, maybe October or November, December-ish, and trying to find times and scheduling was a nightmare. On top of you going out there and just golfing your golf ball, nonetheless, at all these amazing different spots. But before I even get into your journey from when you decided to take this on, tell the audience a little bit about your background and about what you do and what made you get to the point that, hey, listen, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play all these different golf courses and I'm going to set a world record.
Yeah, I mean, my background was in golf course photography. I mean, if you go way back, it's I'm just a golfer like everybody else, just a kid that I was a software sales dude in the Bay Area and spent my disposable income on golf. And so I think that makes me kind of just like a normal guy. There's a lot of guys that are like that. They look forward to their Bandon trip and they've got their work and but I took it a step further. I'd be like, I don't really like sales that much. It's not. I don't think anybody's like, man, I love selling stuff. You like the paycheck and some of the freedoms that it affords you. And I liked closing deals, and I would say that it was enjoyable. But I decided to quit my job and see if I could try my hand in the golf industry. And with that was in 2018 when I quit my job. I did something similar to this. I purchased an RV and I drove around the country just playing golf courses. And my goal that time was to play in the lower 48 states. And I accomplished that. And somewhere along the way, I don't know who it was. Somebody looked it up because they how many golf courses you played, and they wondered what the world record was. And that's when they told me that it was only 449 different 18-hole golf courses played in a single year. And I thought about I could probably set that because I ended up playing about 400 courses just on my own volition that
Wow.
in 2018. And so it always kind of stuck with me that was the world record. And so the good news was that after that first tour, I was able to leverage some social media success and whatever it was to become a professional golf course photographer. I mean, that's my job. Is I go around and I take pictures of golf courses. And there's a as a photographer, it's kind of a murky way in the way to make a living, but I made it work. And in 2022, towards the end of 2022, a company called Golf Gamebook came calling, and they were just looking for ways to potentially work together, just a kind of a discovery call. And the idea of this second tour came up, and obviously the world record had stuck in my mind. And I said, well, if we do it, let's set the world record. And they're like, oh, then the idea started flowing, and the excitement level got up. And this was the first call we had with the folks at Golf Gamebook, which is an app where I ended up keeping all my scores, social media type stuff in there, all of the events and tournament management software. It's a really pretty slick little app that I enjoyed for all of 2023. But after that first call, I was like, let's do it. and that's just like that. The RGV Tour 2.0 was born. RGV stands for recreational golf vehicle because I purchased an RV and turned it into a recreational golf vehicle, complete with rooftop driving range and more amounts of golf swag than one could ever imagine. You know, when you play, ended up playing 580 courses last year to set the record. Of, you know, obviously that's 131 more than 449. But I got a little something from every place I went to, and then I displayed it in the RV. So as you can imagine, it gets pretty crowded in there. And most people, when they walked in, they were like, "This is like a museum." Or that was my favorite part, of seeing the look on people's faces when they saw it, especially towards the end, because it was so absurd, just filled with everywhere
Pat,
I'd been.
I was actually going to ask you, what did you?
I mean,
did you save like?
Go right. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with his internet. But listen, I saw the inside of that in terms of some of the pictures. That thing is like, talk about a museum. I mean, you have almost everything that you can possibly imagine from a golfer's perspective in there. Like, that thing looks like it is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks so damn good on the inside, like so well put together. And it's legitimately looks like just things from you picked up from each pro shop that you went to along the way.
Yeah, that was undoubtedly my my favorite little side quest on this thing is because towards the end, every square inch of that place was covered. I'm just kind of looking for different spots, and I'd pick up maybe a sign. I was a big fan of like the signs by the sea stuff, which like these little wooden signs that are a little bigger, and I ran out of room to put any of those in there, and I put. This still kind of blows my mind. 117 pin flags on the ceiling of that thing. And I was like, if you were to give me all this stuff that I collected, there's no way I could fit it in the RV again. Because it was just so, every time I get a new thing, I kind of like move a little spot over, and and the result was really something pretty cool. You could read that like a book, and some guys would come in there, and if they were golf course guys, I mean, you could spend an hour, and I would do the same, just kind of going down memory lane or remembering, this course or this course, because each one of those little things was a story and a day, and some people that joined the tour, and so those were really cool to have, to kind of share that and have a kind of like a physical manifestation of that world record.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm sorry about my internet. I don't know what's going on over here, but the one question I was going to ask you was, and you might have answered it, did you get something specific at each course? Like when I go play a course, I like to collect a golf ball. Did you do a golf ball or a pencil?
Yeah.
Or, like I heard you talking about the flags, but was there something specific at every place? Yeah,
I mean, the one thing that I wanted that I tried to get, and I didn't start doing it for like maybe I was 100 some courses in before I started it. So I missed some opportunity to get even more. But once I started doing it, ball marks were the easiest thing because, if almost every course has a ball mark, they don't all. The only thing that they all have is a scorecard. Some of them don't have the pencils with their names on it. The scorecard's the only guaranteed thing. But ball mark's number 2. And it's nice and small, so it fits. I do the poker chips too. There was like a list of things that I would potentially get if it was cool. And I started doing some of the bag tags along the door and stuff like that. And then it all filled up. But like the end result was pretty awesome. I probably had a room for some more. Yeah, I always found room for more stuff, but it was getting pretty packed in there. It was pretty glorious.
So it kind of on that point, is there, and again, if you covered it, sorry that I missed it. Who's paying for all this?
Yeah, I mean,
how's this getting funded?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of having some great partners. I had Golf Gamebook was my primary partner, and they covered the cost of the tour. They were unbelievable in terms of the support and just sticking with me through all the things, the ups and downs of living in an RV, which you get hit pretty easily with a repair. Something goes wrong in the morning, and bam, your day is just got $1,000 more expensive, which is not fun. But Golf Gamebook was part of it. I had an apparel company called Breakfast Balls. Pursue Fun Polos, Echo Golf, and then my guys over at Stewart Golf, who provided me with Stewie, my motorized follow caddy. which was really fun and made my life a little bit easier and interesting at times to have just be able, instead of, I love to walk, so I would just throw it on the caddy and he'd follow me around. And some places that works, and some places you take a cart, but I probably walked about 65-70% of the rounds.
Wow.
But yeah, having those partners, and I say partners because it's like, some people just kind of, here's some money, do this, and then there's no partnership there. It's like, they paid for this, and it's a transactional thing. No, I made friends with all of these people, and continue to work with them today. And like, it was a cool thing if you were a part of this. Everybody that was a part of it, I always tell people the RGV tour was better in person than it was online, because that's where the magic happened, right? We weren't like making stuff up, and we weren't out there. This was not like a content train where we're just like, hey, here's the highlight reel. It was awesome. It was great fun, and very few things I think you see online actually are better in person. But the RGV tour was.
And did you have this idea for a while? And like these sponsors, did you spend like time getting them and then go, or did you start it and they kind of rolled?
No. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, that conversation was the start with Golf Gamebook when we had that discovery call. That's when it happened. And obviously you could take this. I mean, it's a tour, right? So the PGA Tour is a tour. So there's the ideas that you can have and what you want this to be are endless, the monetization stuff. And I said, if we're doing this, it's gotta be fun. I'm not going to, sell off all the real estate and turn this into some sort of, cash cow, which you could. But we wanted to make sure that the people that were involved, I liked, were fun, got the MO of the tour. It was, we're not out here just to make content to promote brands. I've got to play all this golf. And like, so it's kind of the story. And everybody was down, they were just like, whenever you come up with organic content, we'd love it. And, they just were in, and it made it really, it was a fun year, and you could have made this a miserable, but no, I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I was super impressed that you've gone this long. I didn't really. Again, I was a follower from afar, and I'd peek in to see where you were because I love your pictures that you put out there. But like, you didn't get sick.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there were some weather issues, especially at Bandon towards the end, where it looked like you were playing in an absolute monsoon. But like, you didn't get sick. You kept going along. Like, I mean,
Holds
that has
back muscles, back spasms,
like,
nothing. There's no injuries.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty impressive to not get hurt, not get sick, and still manage the weather to get that many rounds in.
Yeah. You'd think even if you were in a bubble or something like that, something would have happened. Just a flu or, some food poisoning, which I did get on the first tour that I did. I mean, in North Carolina, which was not super fun. But that's kind of unbelievable that I can say 365 days I woke up at 100% and stoked to play. There was never a day where I was like, ugh, I don't want to do this today. I was maybe some days I was tired, but I was like, oh man, I gotta go see Shinnecock Hills today. So like, what are you gonna do? You gonna get pissed about that? No, you're to be stoked. Like it was course like 300 something, and the levels in New York, I was just off the chain to get up every single morning because it was some brand new, freaking awesome golf course with people. And I tell you, even if it was like, I already played this course or whatever, I was not super excited about showing up, which I still was excited. But like, then you meet the people that you're playing with and they're like, they've been waiting 4 or 5 months because they submitted a request to play, and here I am, and it's like and they're excited, and then you join in, and you're like, let's do it, and then before you know it, you're out there just having the time of your life.
Yeah,
every day was like that. It never surprised. There's just not a day where I'm like, oh, that sucked. There's some days that were like weather was awful, and then those end up being stories, and like. The one at Bandon Dunes. The worst weather day was at Royal New Kent. It was sideways rain. It was awful, and they fortunately let me play. But that day, I tell that story of Royal New Kent. with excitement. I look back fondly at those guys for just letting me play and to be a part of that record. And so it's like, I'm surprised, right, that something wasn't just awful along the way. I did do this, which does point out the folks that there was. I called it the Jabroni Award, and these were people that were out of line, just a little uncalled for, just like, what are you doing?
Just being jabronis.
They're being jabronis. And there was only 5 of them the entire year. Guys that I was like, that's a dick move. They're like, whatever that is. And they're funny stories. But it's usually sad to report that 3 of them were employed in the golf industry. And then there were 2 just kind of just random, JOs out there. And, but think about that. So there's 5 dudes, and I played with 1,500 people or something like that. And not to mention the people that you interact with in the golf shop, the people that the head pros that invite you out, the general managers that open up their private club to the tour. I mean, that's a lot of people showing a lot of generosity. And I guess it's surprising, you'd think that just a general cross section of the public, there's way more than 5 out of 1,500 people that suck, and not on the tour. So it kind of gives you an idea of when you're doing something positive, it attracts that sort of person, that positive energy. And the people that I ran into that were not cool is like they were all just kind of in passing or happenstance. It was never like somebody invited me out and then was a dickhead, which is
shows
pretty
are
awesome.
Still good in the world.
Yeah,
they're still good in the world.
And I think that's, and I saw your thing on CNN, and I liked how you said that there, especially, and the anchor was kind of like looked away when you're like, sometimes the media doesn't always portray the positivity that goes on. And I saw when you said that, and the anchor turned away and didn't want to really discuss that. But I think, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of laughed, and he knows. I mean, it's his business. He knows what gets clicks and the stories you got to cover in the media. But it's absolutely true. Like, my perception of people was elevated, and it's like you can take that a step further when you're just existing in that. It can you restore your faith in humanity, give you hope for the future of the world. I mean, these are like legitimate, powerful things that an experience like this can provide somebody. And I hope the people that joined in along the way felt that as well. And I'm sure they did, as a lot of those people have verbalized that to me. So, but I was fortunate to be there and leading the charge and running the show. And the result was something pretty magical.
Mike and I have been saying that for the last, I don't know, year and a half almost. So, like, the people in the golf world are a special group of people. Like, everyone's been so open arms to us. There hasn't really been anybody that's been a true jabroni, in our world. So, to your point, that's the golf industry, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a function of people love golf, and so they're loving what they do. They're just happy to be working in golf and around it for a living. I think that's why we're always, as you say, if you work in golf, you're underpaid but overprivileged, and that's a cool thing, because it's like, hell yeah, but what are you going to, the stuff that I would, if I made more money, what would I spend my money on? It's like, well, it's the stuff that I get to do for my job is what I would do. So it's like, I mean, I'm actually, you start doing the math, and you're like, man, I'm making more money than I ever did in my other jobs. Benefit speaking, right?
Money.
Yeah. And so that's a cool thing. And I think that's why you get a lot of people that are happy, because, hey, they're living their dream life, or they're in their jobs that they love. And that's the way, humans should exist. And that's where you find them in their best state.
I got to ask you about your stops here in New Jersey. Obviously, when I saw that you were coming through the state, I saw that you played Riverwinds. I saw that you played Rock Spring. Did I miss others that you traveled within the state here in New Jersey, or were those the only 2 that you hit? And again, I don't even know if you can recall that.
I recall Rock Spring. Rock Spring. That was fun. We did a little match with a guy, and one of the jabronis was there.
Oh wow! There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, he was,
there you go. Jabroni from New Jersey. It's got to be.
Yeah, he was. We paid to play, and we were going out there, and I don't like necessarily tell the jabroni stories, but they're kind of funny. So there's a PGA professional that's just, out on the 10th hole, or I don't know. He's on the middle of the golf course giving a lesson. And he's not, so we get to that hole and he's middle of the fairway doing it. And so he's not moving. So we go up to him and explain to him what I'm doing, that I have to play all the holes. And he's like, sorry, you got to go around. You're going to have to skip this hole. I was like, well, I can't skip this hole because I'm setting a world record. You guys, and he's like, I don't tell him, I'm giving a lesson here. I was like, you do realize that this is a public golf course, and you just can't come out and do this. He's like, I checked the tee sheet and there was nobody on here. I was like, well, here we are, buddy.
Yeah.
and then he's like doubles down. He's just being, and I was like, I looked at him and I was like, it's not worth it. And so I just kind of disengaged. We skipped the hole and then we came back later and played the hole and, awarded that guy the jabroni. So I hope he's listening,
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'll tell you what,
you can't say I'm surprised. It's New Jersey.
Yeah,
you're a better man than me.
He's Jersey, and the East Coast. You guys got the reputation. You delivered on some of the others. There was a couple in one in Rhode Island was another place where there's 2 in one course, and they were totally unrelated. But I still have fond memories of Rhode Island. So it's like those stories are kind of, they're obviously the person was, who knows what was going on with them, but they ended up being a story. So. Yeah, Rock Spring. I played Bayonne. I played probably my favorite. I love Bayonne. I played Hollywood is so good. That was one that I'd kind of circled as under the radar and a treat. And I was able to I got an invitation from somebody to play there. So I was real excited. Didn't have to scrounge to find my way out. It's because the bummer about golf and some of especially like New Jersey and New York, is it's the best in the world, but it's also like kind of behind a closed door.
Privatest in the world.
Yeah, very exclusive. Very exclusive.
You can't just, say, hey, I want to play Pine Valley and it materializes. It takes, years in the golf industry and networking to uncover a pathway onto that ground, that golf course. And, but that was kind of the beauty of being on this tour, that it had some attention, and a lot of people invited me out to their clubs, and that made it special as well.
So no course was doubled up, correct?
No, I did double up some. Like when I was out at Kingsley Club comes to mind, which is a great DeVries design up in northern Michigan, and I had the whole day for there. So I was like, they were like, you want to play again? I was like, yeah, let's play again. So we played twice some places, just because it, was in the schedule and there was nothing else nearby to do that. And right. At Sand Hills is like, do you want to play Sand Hills twice? Like, yeah, you want to play Sand Hills twice. So I did, and so like stuff like that didn't happen often because, save my energy and try to move that number up. But, I was very flexible with, it wasn't like it's a full year long. And so you get in one course a day, it's not going to kill you.
Do you, how many days off did you have throughout the year?
I'd love to say I had none, which was essentially the answer. But I did I took a job, which was, I was happy I did it because it's the Tiger Woods Invitational at Pebble Beach. And I do the photography for the title sponsor there. And it's a great job. You get to hang with Tiger, you get to do the stuff there. So that was my only sort of, so to speak, break. But I was working my butt off, taking photos for the team out there. And so that was 6 days, and those were the only 6 days that I took. So 6 days at the Tiger Woods Invitational, and then played every other day. Wow. It was like 258 days and 6 days off, then finished without a break. So played on Christmas, played on every day, made it over to Finland and Sweden. And I played in the morning, then got on the plane. I didn't miss a day, even though I was going to Europe in terms of golf in the morning. So those 6 days. And then, the good news is they invited me back for photography next year. So in terms of my business, it was a great decision. And I love that event and the people that put it on. So, I took 6 days. There were 6 days of no golf. And when I came back in Denver, I did it out of Denver. I came back to Denver. I felt like it was like the golf club was foreign to me because I'd played so much golf. And then and then took 6 days off. I was like, what is this?
How do I hold this
Yeah,
stick
you're like, it's just been 6 days with no golf, but it was so crazy. And it took me probably, I don't know, 9 holes. And then I was kind of like, you hit a couple bad shots and you kind of, I got this. You hit a couple good shots, and then you're in the game again, and away I was rolling. But yeah, there was an odd feeling coming back after taking what felt like, comparatively speaking, that's like a year off of golf.
So what was I got so many like intricate questions that like I just think are neat. Like, so you play a course, you drive to the next course, sleeping in the van, or are you going to sleep right away, driving overnight? Is there even like that big of a gap between? Like, did you plot out like,
yeah,
obviously you're not doing like Southern California and then Montana the next day. Like you can't do that. So
no, you don't want to do that. You want to, because 36 a day is going to wipe out most people. I was asked, what would you do the last time what else did you do when you played 36 holes of golf? People are like, I ate like pizza and went straight to bed. They don't do much. In my case, it was, I edited photos. I came up with some social media content for the day, and responded to 25 emails, planned 2 more rounds of golf, and then drove 2 hours to the next destination. And you don't always do that. So it really depends on where you're at. You're like, hey, maybe you're in Palm Springs and just kind of hammering out courses in Palm Springs. But for the most part, it's at least, a half hour or an hour to the next course. And so after the day is done, I would just kind of do my drive, and then I'd find a place nearby, so I could wake up early and capture sunrise photos of the next golf course. So it depends very much so on where you're at, what you're feeling. And sometimes you're like, oh, I can just, if you have like a 3-hour drive and you're not feeling it, you'll be like, all right, I'll just drive an hour and a half to this rest stop and then get up early and drive the other hour and a half, which makes a 3-hour drive feel like not much. So there's little tricks to doing it. And the RV is very helpful because you sleep pretty much anywhere. And that RV was, had a wrap, and it was very professional looking. So I didn't get kicked out of a lot of places. They're kind of like, and I'm showing up late, leaving early. I'm not, camping out and putting all my stuff out there.
What so your support system is really none. Like, it's not like you had a driver, it's not like you had someone who's editing all your stuff. It's not like you were just like, hey, the only thing I'm doing is playing golf. Like you're the whole production.
I was everything. Yeah, I would have friends that would come in from time to time, but I was the only person that drove that thing. Everybody else get too scared. Like, no, I'm gonna crash it, or And I don't know if I could have sat by and just watched somebody else be nervous driving. Like, we'd just been freaked out. So I was like, I'll just drive. So I was the only person that drove that thing the entire time. And then, I had some friends. My friend Joey the Cat came in, and he was the chief snack officer for like a week, and that was awesome because it's like you get your buddies in, they help you with some content, and you just have fun.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of those people that would come in, and there were times where it'd be like, I had a girlfriend, and girlfriend would be in there for like a week, and then she'd leave, and then like my buddy would come in, and then he'd leave, and then my sister would come, and we'd hang out. And my sister loves to kind of walk along and enjoy the golf, and so it was like that for times. But then there's times where it's like, hey, it's just me. I'm just cruising, for a couple weeks, and then I'll have my next destination. I'll pick somebody up, or I have an event where I'll meet some friends. And it was just so fun because there was always these things to look forward to that were never, more than a couple days out.
So listen, give me your best score and give me your worst score and give me your favorite course out of all of them.
I did research on this, Mike.
Yeah. It's 67, 91, and Sand Hills. That's the fast answer.
Yeah. 67.
Yeah.
67 was good, man. I wanted
to know where it was.
Where?
Yeah.
It was at Cimarron in Arizona. It's kind of at the beginning of the tour. The putter was
your golf ball.
I was hitting good shots and giving myself looks, and then the putts were dropping towards the end, And I ended up hanging up a 67, which is pretty solid. My best all time is 65, which was
What's your handicap?
Next level. I got it down to scratch. Okay. I started probably like a 3 or 4, and then just kind of got down to there was a stretch where I played 12 or so rounds of golf in a row, and my my average score is I was like 1 over par for those 12. That was in Vegas. I think that when I get going, like the desert golf is actually pretty easy. Yeah, I think that's some of the easiest golf. And these courses, it's not like I'm playing easy courses. I'm playing some of the best and most
Yeah, I
difficult in
know.
the world. The best ones tend to be difficult. Like you go play Shinnecock Hills. That's not an easy place to shoot 72 at.
No.
I shot a 79 and I was stoked with that number.
100%. You got to be.
Yeah, I got up and down on 18. I was really stoked. I had to make a little curling 6, maybe 5 footer, and I banged that thing in. I was pumped, man, because I didn't really have my A game. But even if I did, Shinnecock Hills is very tough, especially in the summer with the green speeds up, and there was Shinnecock came in second place for my favorite, but Sandhills was by far my favorite golf course. I mean, I rerouted a large portion of the tour to get there on the very final day that it's open, and that's always kind of a big thing for the golf course. Everybody, because they close early. I mean, it was a beautiful, perfect day, and so was the next day that they were closed. But they have to close early because it's in the Sandhills of Nebraska, and if they don't get that entire golf course covered in sand, which is a massive task. The winter can be brutal. That would kill their grass, and then they'd wake up with a dead golf course in the spring, and can't have that. So it's those guys do a fantastic job of doing. I mean, most people don't understand the amount of effort and just the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into creating these fairways for us to play golf on. Those guys do a tireless job of making these canvases so spectacular. And so that was a cool trip there and I got invited by Kyle's the superintendent out there at Sandhills. He invited me out, which is one of the coolest invitations that I had. And it ended up being one of my favorite spots, my favorite spot of the tour.
Was there a spot? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what was like the most exclusive spot you got to play? Like Shinnecock's obviously like a big invite. Is there one that's
Shinnecock's? I mean, in terms of like most exclusive invites in the country, it's like I think Shinnecock Hills during the summer is probably one of the toughest ones I've ever had. Pine Valley was a tough one to get on. I didn't play there this time, but I'd played before. That was a great invite. And then Augusta National is probably the most difficult one to get out of everybody. And it depends on your circle too. Cause I played in Atlanta with some guys, and every single one, it was like a group of 8 dudes playing a game, and every single one of those guys in Atlanta had played Augusta. They're like, no big deal. And I told them, they were talking about golf courses, and I mentioned that I played Cypress Point, and they thought that was unbelievable. They're like, oh my God, dude, that's the toughest. I was like, I don't think it is. So it obviously depends on the circles you run in, but I think Augusta is probably the most difficult tee time that golf has. And then it comes down to, there's some other places that would love to say that, but it's really kind of like, what's the policy and how many members do you have? So like, can you play unaccompanied? Then that takes it up, and it's a little more difficult. Do you have to play with a member? Well, yes. So there's only a handful of clubs that allow that. And then there's the, how many members do you have? Then that tells you kind of how exclusive it is. And so, and then also it's like, how often are those members allowed to invite guests? So some of the clubs restrict that, where it's like you only get, I think it's like Cypress, you only get like two invitations of guests in a month or something like that. So there's limits in terms of how much you can play. I know Augusta has let the members go because they invited too many people to play.
Wow.
Which, I don't think of that what you will, but that's kind of how the world works. And they realize, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, but it's like if it's exclusive, people tend to think higher of it. They're like, oh, this place is something special. You get out there and you're like, oh man, everything's so sacred. Versus a public course, people tend to think lesser of it just because anybody can play there. And I don't think that's definitely not fair to the actual, the golf course itself. If you're comparing those two things, you got to be aware that there's probably some perception there. But there's no doubt that the best golf courses in America are the toughest ones to get on. But I think some of them get a little bit more love than they should just because they're private and exclusive.
Yeah. Did you get on Augusta this time around?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've got it on Augusta, but it's just to watch the Masters be played. So that'll be fine. If I die at 99 courses of the top 100 played, I'll be okay with that.
Is there one that you didn't get to that you said, man, I really wish I could have gotten this one this year and I just didn't, and maybe in the future?
Yeah, I mean, there's about 150 of those. It's
That's like a month's worth of work for you, though.
I know.
There's got to be like 2 or 3 that maybe just like, you know what, damn, I really thought we had this one and we just didn't get it.
Yeah, there's 150 of those. I mean, it really there's just a lot of them because it's like, it was like, oh, the schedule didn't work out or something like that. I was just looking the other day at like some of the clubs on Nantucket Island. I was like, damn it, I got this RV and like I want to go play like Sankaty Head.
Sankaty, take the boat over with the.
And
with
there's
the
a
RV.
couple over
Really
there.
cool.
I mean, just like, oh geez, the ones I want to go back and hang out in New York and play 20 or 30 of the courses that I didn't get to see that I want to. Royal St. George's is another one out there. Hoopy didn't work out. I think more of a scheduling thing. Peachtree, Alotian, Medina, Old Town Club. We're both under construction, Medina and Old Town Club. So I, couldn't play those. Then you even talk. Then you get into Ohio. There's like Double Eagle, and I played NCR, but I just looked at Moraine, so I could see Moraine. I mean, it goes on and on like that. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. So now if you dig down into courses that I'd love to play, it's like, yeah. I mean, the answer is there's a lot of those courses that I would have loved to see. And that's because I want to see them all, but you can't. There's just so much good golf in the United States. But if you look at that list, it's like nobody's going to feel bad.
Yeah.
That, poor Patrick didn't get to play Sankaty Head. Look at this list. What a joke. But no,
get on Marion.
Yeah. So the list is pretty freaking awesome of courses that I got to play, and I've tried to play new places too. Places I hadn't seen. I love the exploration and the discovery of new spots.
Well, hey, let us know when you're back in the Jersey area. We'll come
Yeah.
meet up with you. We'll caddy for you. So Michael Drive. I'll caddy.
We'll find a place to play.
For sure.
Yeah.
I do have one. So, like, on a normal day, like, obviously, I see all the pictures you take as well. Like, in terms of, like, you got a drone, I'm assuming, out there as well. Like, if you showed up to take pictures also of the golf course, is it while you're playing, you're doing both playing and taking pictures? Or are you playing and then taking pictures after? Because it seems like there could be like, golf could be 3-4 hours. And are you spending additional time taking the photos as well?
Yeah. So I am. It depends, right? So it's golf course photography is all about the light. So whenever the light is happening, but if I got a tee time at 7:30, I'm taking photos and playing. The light's coming up, and like I always would bring my camera, so I don't want to miss something magical. And then, sometimes I show up a little bit early, and then I can, maybe fly that drone as the sun's coming up, or say I'm, doing a twilight round. And there's been many a times where I'm just, playing golf, flying the drone, taking photos, doing 9 things all at the same time to capture those moments. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll go back. There's been many times where I would go back afterwards and play golf and then say, hey, you guys mind if I go take some photos of the golf course, and then go have my fun doing my photography. And so that's, there's no break in terms of like, I was very diligent in terms of wanting to capture the best I could of each golf course.
This continues to get more and more impressive.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah,
it's funny you say about the light, though, because a couple weeks ago we had on Evan Schiller, and he talked about how important it was when it comes to the lighting, about where he would go. He used a specific app to make sure that he could find when the light was the best, all these things. And it's amazing that, like, there's that much attention to detail to find the best picture. And he went on a little rant about it, and you're kind of echoing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, so the thing that's frustrating about this is like I'm just there for a day, and so like if somebody hires me to do a professional golf course shoot, I spend 3 to 4 days, and it's all around the lighting and finding that lighting, and so um, to understand where you can get, I mean, I get really into the details when I'm doing a shoot, because you look at a golf course and you're like, all right, this light gets perfect at say 6:15. That it hits it just right. It comes through this tree and does this. The pin flag's a little in the back, but if the pin flag is in the front left at this exact time, it'd be in the perfect space to catch the light and then reflect off a darker background. And so, like, if I'm working with a superintendent, I'm like, can you put the pin front left on this hole so I can capture that exact image that I'm looking for? So like stuff like that is how you get these photos that are like, wow, that one is so much better than anything I've ever seen there. It's like, well, it's because I paid attention to the light and the details, where the pin flag was going to be, what time of day it's going to look the best, whether it's sunrise or sunset, because it comes in from the other angle, So like, maybe those trees are not there, or maybe they are, and it creates a different vibe. And so you got to, and it only happens like you've got a gap of like, they call it the magic hour, but some courses it's half hour, and so you can't get every shot. The drone helps, but you've got to be there for 3-4 days and know where that's going to be and where you need to be, and then then it becomes really exciting, because you're like, dude, this is like a puzzle to figure out. It's kind of a race against time, and it's really kind of fun to do that. And so I got pretty good at figuring out what I could in just a day. You play the course and you're like, oh, this one would be good. I have a feeling it's sunrise or sunset. I kind of see the angle and the composition that I want. So I go back out, and maybe sometimes I get lucky, sometimes I wouldn't, but sometimes I got just stunning photographs from just one visit to a golf course. And that's a mixture of getting some interesting clouds, some good light, and then obviously knowing what I'm looking for and where to go. So I'm sure Evan and I are doing the exact same sort of thing. We've got our own little process, but we're chasing the light and the composition and that image that we want to give to the client.
Will you play a course first? You get invited to shoot a course.
Yeah,
you're going to be there 3 days. Is the first thing you do just play it or walk it, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I
scout out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I scout it, I play it. That's the best way to do it. I mean, some of these places didn't necessarily. Most of them are happy to let me play. If I'm out there as a shoot, I'm not there to play the golf course. I'm there to take photographs, but it's definitely part of my process, because you see it as a golfer.
Yeah.
What's interesting, the stuff that is a challenge, and then you can look for ways to incorporate that into your composition, and just getting out and walking the course and hitting your ball where the golfers are is invaluable in terms of discovering the course and figuring out what's interesting about it. So I play all the courses that I shoot. I think that's it's part of my process, and it's great because it's like, part of my process is I have to play the golf course. But it's not just, hey, I want to play the golf course. Like, there's some real value in being a golfer and a photographer, because I've seen people that they hire somebody to shoot. They're a fantastic photographer, but they're not a golfer, and it very quickly becomes obvious. You're like, oh, they don't have that eye because they don't love the game. And I think that's what makes a great golf course photographer, and any sort of niche photographer. You've got to love your subject. You got to be like just enamored with it and love it so much, and that does come out in the final product one way or the other, through attention or detail or some sort of just magical way that that photography translates. When somebody really cares about what they're doing, there tends to be that next level. And everybody's a photographer these days with their iPhones, so you gotta rise above the rest.
Yeah.
What's next?
I'm gonna play some golf today. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing golf.
I know. Is there, like, obviously when you do something on this level, it's kind of like the unthinkable, and then you attain it. But for someone like you, who seems like you enjoy the challenge, you enjoy that little competitive side of, let me see if I can do something else.
Yeah.
Is there something else on your radar?
No, there's not really. Which is kind of, is a bummer. It leaves a little bit of an emptiness that was so fulfilling but I'm not hurting for things to do. So I'm happy to come out and do photo shoots. I love that. So like it's especially nice because I can take my time now instead of just like, I only have the morning. I get what I get. I was like, no, I'm going to be here for 3-4 days. We're going to get some of the best photographs of your golf course that you've ever seen. And I know how to do that now. And so it's fun that I'll get the chance to do that for some clubs and those that hire me this year. And that's fun. I've got a cool thing coming up with Troon that I just got an email on today. So that's going to be some international goodness. And so we'll have some stuff like that. And, there's all sorts of trips and stuff to be done, but nothing this epic, with this much of a journey destination type feel. But you never know. I mean, that's the beauty of this space. I wouldn't, I did not know that I was doing this I did it in 2023. I kicked it off. And, in 2022, as late as probably like maybe September, I had no clue what I was going to do, this was going to happen in 2023. So,
Wow.
Things have a way of happening when you're passionate and out there living life every day. And I think I'd be foolish to say that something cool won't happen down the road, but we're nothing massive that I'm kicking off.
So we're not going for 600 in 2025.
No. But if somebody wants to go, if somebody goes and does 600, I bet you people will be calling for me to catch them. I just don't think anybody's going to do it. Like I would challenge people that are listening to do it, but it's like, you better have a year open. And then you also got to have a fat wad of cash, because this is gas isn't cheap.
Yeah.
Greens fees aren't cheap. It's not getting cheaper. And so right there, it's already like, who's going to even try? And then you've got to do it. So I think it's one of those things. It's a tough record to break.
It is.
And the previous one of 449 stood for 13 years. So
and you smashed that. So
yeah.
This one's I'll take the over. I'll take the over on 20 plus, and I'll put the ranch on that. So
yeah. Well, it'll be fun. I mean, I would love to see somebody break it. I would like to hold it for a little bit, and then I'd love to pass the torch. I think that's kind of the fun about doing these records. And somebody in the previous record gave me a call after I finished my final round and 500, did 580, and we had a fun chat. Because it's kind of like nobody understands it like
you two guys
we
would.
do. Yeah, and they did kind of a similar method, similar stuff, but. I was just much more. I did a lot more. I mean, in terms of the social media, the photography, and then just the courses. I was it was a couple out of Canada, and they're like, well, that's something, So it was cool to have that conversation, and to bring the record back to the U.S. Those Canadians can't do that to us anymore.
I was going to ask you if you had any connection with them, or if you talked to whoever the previous record holder was.
I did. Yeah, I didn't at the end, because I sent them a message or something at the beginning, but I didn't know if they even got my message, and maybe they didn't. But they, nobody really believes you're going to do it until like I was over like 300 courses. Did people even care? They're like, yeah, right, dude. It was funny, especially beginning at like, I'm set the world record. Like, what course are you on? And you're like, this is course 6. Like, oh, whatever. You guys played 6 golf courses. It's nothing. But people that knew me knew that it was going down, or I wasn't stopping. It wasn't gonna, and then it became, once I got over to 300, people were like, oh man, this is awesome now. So
right, 300 by July 4th.
Yeah, I was out there. Yeah, the 600 number was in my head. One of my buddies did that to me. He was like, we're talking about it, and I'm like, we're doing the math, and I was on like pace to get it like 570 or something. It was like, and he just goes like, 600 or you're dead to me. I'm like, oh. So I kind of stuck with me. So, but since then we're still friends. He was joking.
That's good.
It did stick in my mind, and I do think 600 is possible. I took those 6 days off. What do you say? You play 36 a day. You're already up to 592, and then 600 would be very tough. What you could do if somebody's looking to break this record and it wouldn't be as awesome.
Let me get my notepad out. Hold on.
If you could do it at like probably a cheaper rate, and you just have to play a bunch of junk public courses in like the same state, and that would suck, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wouldn't be as much fun. You wouldn't meet the people. You wouldn't get to play as many great golf courses. But you could play at a faster clip, and you could spend less money, but you'd have to it might be a little boring.
You'd have to suck up playing the same course,
Well, you can't play the same course. You just go to Florida and play a bunch of Florida courses or something, or just stick in Palm Springs and hammer out those, or Arizona. But
your journey. I'll take your journey over that.
That's the cheat sheet, because there's 1,300 courses in Florida alone that you could probably do it at. But it's still, a lot of those are like public courses or private clubs that are not difficult to get on, or there can be difficult, so anyway you slice it's going to be challenging, but that's how I would see somebody would have a chance to get to that 600.
So you played 72 was the most in a day?
Yeah, I did 72 at Doral. Played all 4 courses at Doral in a day.
Okay.
In like April too, so we didn't have much daylight, and but we got them in, man. That was an exciting day. We were hustling that day.
Are you playing like speed golf at any of these?
I did one. I did one legitimate effort to play as fast as I could, and that was in Sweden. I called it Swedish speed golf. And I'll let you guys get. How fast do you think I played? I had a cart. They didn't clear the course for me, so I was playing through people. But it was a normal course. It was over like 6,500 yards. And it was just by myself in a cart. And I had one of my buddies there one of the guys from Golf Gamebook filmed it, Timu. But how fast do you think I did it?
Hour 47.
I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, I did it in 52 minutes.
Holy hell!
Yeah, you can play fast.
52 minutes.
I did it.
2 minutes.
Yeah. I was thinking just under, Mike. You said hour, whatever. I was thinking hour and a half.
Like, all right, most guys, if they're playing, maybe it takes them 3.5 hours. Because I hate, Pat. I absolutely hate slow golf. It drives me up the wall. There's nothing I hate more. I'd rather run than crawl. 52 minutes, though.
52 minutes. I mean, I'm hitting him close and just putting him out. And then I was like hustling, I'm not like full on sprint, but like I was giving it a good little, I was hustling. But if I was unobstructed and just playing casually, taking pictures, walking, I'll play in an hour and a half. With the cart in Arizona, that happened a couple times, and I was like hour and a half, hour 40 minutes. And that's just, hit and walk and hit again. But if you're hustling, you can get it down to under an hour. I think some of the guys that like set the records, they're playing like 40 some minutes and they're walking. I'm like, they're not walking, but they're on foot, right?
Yeah.
And, but no, I hate slow golf. And I certainly ran into plenty of slow golf. But I was never the cause of the issue anywhere. I mean, if you watch me play, most people are like, "Oh, you hit already?" I just go. There's not a lot of practice swings, just and that's how I think most people should play. You'd actually be better off. Most people, like, their brain gets in the way. Like, what are you thinking about, dude? Just hit it. It is what it is. Your score doesn't really even matter for almost all of us. So probably everybody listening to this podcast, your score doesn't matter. And that's just step up and hit it. Nobody cares if you shoot 86 or 66. I mean, people might care if you shot 59, but you're not going to shoot 59.
Holes, maybe.
So it's and that's one thing you kind of learn playing this much golf is that you're like, oh man, what matters about this game is not the score, but the competition can be fun. You can have fun with your buddies. You can enjoy the competition. You can enjoy the friendship. You can enjoy the exercise. You can enjoy the photography. You can enjoy the serenity, the beauty of the game. It's just like the list goes on and on. The treats that golf gives us, and scoring and playing well can certainly be fun. And I encourage people to keep score and pay attention to it. But let's not lose sight of what really matters. And it's almost never the score.
Right, you're not a professional. Let's enjoy the day.
Yeah, nobody's professional. I mean, it's such a small percentage that gets all of our attention, and it's like you're not Justin Rose,
Yeah.
you're not Hideki,
Yep.
and few of us even can hold a candle and play in the same realm as those guys.
But listen, I probably could sit here and pick your brain about every little nick and cranny of your trip through and through. But I appreciate you coming on today. I'm so thankful you're able to share your story. And I know that, watching from afar, it's been something that like I kind of am envious of. And I felt like we vicariously lived through you as you hop to different spots and seeing you come through New Jersey and hit up some of those spots. Listen, Pat, I can't thank you enough for coming on today's show.
Oh man, it's been, as you can tell, we could just do this till for 2 straight weeks. People would get tired of it, but we could do it. We could do
There's
it.
no doubt about it. We would be able to chat for hours and hours and hours. You're an unbelievable dude with an incredible accomplishment. And to echo Mike, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute treat for us.
Well, it was my pleasure, fellas, and I can't wait to see you guys in person and play some golf in Jersey.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you're around here, let us know. We're down for you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.